Hi Taurus, welcome to your reading. If you're new to the channel, I do timeless readings, which means that whenever you find this video is when you're meant to hear the messages within it. And in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos for Taurus and Scorpio on Tuesdays. Also, the deck that I'm using today is called the Crystal Visions Tarot. And as always, if you guys are interested in a personal reading, the link is in the description below. And just as a heads up, sometimes the cards like to flip over in the deck. I do see them. However, I really only take cards that jump out like these ones have. And my goal is to get you guys roughly 8 or 9 cards, and then we can get started on your reading. Alright, Taurus, I do want to remind you guys that if you enjoy the reading, the best way to let me know is by leaving a like or a comment, but your overall energy here is the Ten of Wands, which I'm not too particularly surprised. I feel like whenever we see the Ten of Wands, we see this energy of, I feel like having too many burdens. I feel like you guys have probably had a lot of burdens, and that's why you feel so much in this Ten of Wands energy. I feel like a lot of things get placed on you. You know, you guys are an earth sign, so you have a lot of those sort of dependable qualities. I feel like you guys are always ready to take responsibility and step up to the plate. And I feel like as a result, you know, people like to depend on you. But at the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I feel like people are really quick to sort of, maybe too quick to depend on you. You know what I mean? Like, they become complacent themselves, and you sort of become the go-to person. And while that's flattering, I feel like it can be very taxing on you. And I feel like you feel sort of like this horse, or this, yeah, you feel tired and sort of downtrodden like this horse. It's a little difficult to see him, but like the man on top of the horse, he doesn't have any problem riding the horse, but the horse is tired, right? And I feel like that's how you feel. You feel like people are, in some cases, probably even taking advantage of your kindness, and you feel like the only responsible person around. And I feel like that's very difficult. But I also do see that there's a lot of change coming with that. So there's like a lot of messages that I want to give all at once. First of all, I do want to mention that you have the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, and the Five of Swords. That's very rare combination to see. Whenever you see like the 3, the 4, and the 5 all together, usually because you shuffle the cards so much, you don't really see cards that are of the same suit in sequence. So whenever I see especially a large sequence of like 3 cards, I know that there's some huge progression here. This to me feels like movement. It feels like things are going to move along quickly. I feel like you guys have been really used to sort of like things around you have been going at a snail's pace, and now things are going to start sort of skyrocketing and moving way fast. And I feel like for some of you that might be a little bit scary, but it's definitely a positive. The things that are no longer working for you are going to really leave your life right now, but in a good way, right? Especially since we have the Three of Swords here. The Three of Swords is normally a negative card. It's the card of heartbreak, of heartache. For some reason, I'm hearing the word disease, even though that's not exactly what the card means. So I'm getting that for some of you guys, you might be having some really difficult time with your health, and that's causing you sort of to cry and to be sad and distraught and heartbroken over the situation. I apologize. But I feel like for a lot of you guys, because the Three of Swords is in reverse, you guys are mending this broken heart. You guys are really healing this painful energy. Like, things aren't painful anymore. You're walking away from the heartache. You're leaving that in the past. And you're moving towards sort of like a brighter future, right? And I see this Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is a really interesting card because it talks about skills and development. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, you might be doing something at work or maybe going back to school, something that'll make you a little bit more skilled in some degree, kind of like a practical skill. I'm getting that a lot of you guys want to work with your hands, right? So this woman is looming something, right? She's making thread. It looks like she's like creating some kind of clothing, right? So some of you guys might be seamsters or seamstress. Some of you guys might be going back to work and getting some kind of training for like a different position or something. Advancement is the name of the game here. And it's very interesting because I sense sort of this like push and pull energy here, because I see, this progression energy that I was talking about earlier with the 3, 4, 5. And I also see this Eight of Pentacles, which to me feels like you're furthering your career, but you also have the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is very interesting because it's a card about resting. So I think that there is a balance that there is a moderation that you need to strike up here, right? Don't work yourself to the bone. Don't make yourself to the point where you can't even continue. You need to take your rest. You need to take your recreational activities, because that's what's going to allow you to actually thrive in the end. Because if you're working way too hard and working yourself to the bone, you're not going to be able to work. And that's this Five of Swords energy, right? This Five of Swords is petty arguments, it's devastation, it's all kinds of negative situations. To me, this feels like the Five of Cups, but in like a mental realm. So I think that you guys have a lot of healing that you need to do, right? Because you have the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands talks about healing. It's my Wounded Warrior card. And then you have the Devil card. The Devil card talks about a lot of different things, and one of the things that it talks about is obsession and feeling trapped, entrapment, right? And I feel like what this is, also the Devil represents Capricorn energy, which is very prone to being a workaholic. So especially if you guys have like heavy Capricorn placements, I'm getting that the message of this Devil card is that you are working too hard. You're slaving away at work, and I think it's starting to affect your health. Like I was saying earlier with the Three of Swords, you don't want to be at a point where your work is really making you sick. And with the Nine of Wands, I feel like this is a recurring issue for you guys. Like, your work is sort of tied to your sense of self-worth, and when you feel like you're not advancing in your work or you're not doing well enough at work, there's this Five of Swords energy where you start to get into arguments. There's all around sadness and devastation wherever you go, because the fact that this is weighing so heavily on your mind sort of paints your world. And I think it's a very difficult energy for you guys. And on top of that, you have this Nine of Swords. So I think that for a lot of you guys, you have sort of this unhealthy relationship with work, where you end up being in this Nine of Swords and this Five of Swords energy. So I think that you guys need to learn to sort of strike up a healthier sort of a connection with your work, right? Don't be so emotionally invested in your job. For others of you, like, do invest yourself emotionally in your job. Like, I'm getting like different kinds of camps here where there's people who are so disconnected from their job that it's like misery, and it feels like it's just the worst every time they clock in. And for some of you, I feel like you're so overly dedicated to your job that it like eats you alive even when you're not at work. And there needs to be a happy medium. And that's why you have this Judgment card, because the Judgment card to me feels like the happy medium, right? And we were even talking earlier in the beginning of the reading with this Ten of Wands, where you feel like everything is on your shoulders. So I think it all really comes down to you finding a healthy relationship with your work, because this to me feels very work centric. I feel like you have a lot of the other things in your life under control, even though I don't see like the Nine of Pentacles. That's the energy that I'm getting. It feels like you have everything mostly under control, but this is like the biggest issue that you have. Try to heal some wounds that you have in relation to work, and I feel like that'll facilitate other things to come along. But that was your reading first time around, Taurus. If you enjoyed, please leave a like or a comment because it really helps out the channel, and I personally really love to know if these readings resonate with you guys. But like I said before, I upload my new Taurus videos on Tuesdays, but in the meantime, you guys are more than welcome to watch any of my other timeless readings that I have up on the channel. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time for your next reading.